Okay, so we're holding here, if you have your art scroll Gemara, it's Mesechta Megillah Daf Chaf Ches Amud Aleph 28a. We're coming up to the end of the Mesechta. 28a2, second column. We're going through the different Chachamim, the different sages who lived a long life, and everybody asked them, what's your secret to longevity? And we've gone through already at this point, I think, 4 different Tanoim, and we're middle of the answer of Rebbe Nechunya Hagadol. We're up to the last practice Rebbe Nechunya Hagadol would do, that he would never get upset at anybody, and if someone wronged him, he would always forgive them. So says the Gemara, "V'lo amadati al midoisai." Here you go. 28a2. I have never been inflexible, meaning I've always forgiven. I've never been adamant that I'm in the right. The Amar Rava for Rava states, "Kol ha'maver al midoisav, ma'avirim mimenu al kol pesha'av." Anyone who overlooks their own respect and getting back at the other person, Hashem overlooks any wrongdoings that they have done. Shenemar, as it states in a verse, in the Yud Gimel Midas Rachim, the 13 attributes of mercy, Noisei Avain Yasi Boker Tov. Welcome, Rebbe Fall. Welcome, Rebbe Mike Levi. Noisei Avain V'oiver Apesha. Hashem forgives all those who do any type. Hashem forgives the sins of those who overlook the other people's transgressions. Which transgression does Hashem forgive? And he divides a pasuk and explains. Somebody who passes over, doesn't even focus on anything that someone did wrong to them, so they, in turn, Hashem will overlook anything that they have done. There's a story that there was a chassid who was connected to Rabbi Melech of Lizhansk. Later on, and he used to go to Rabbi Melech of Lizhansk, get guidance in serving Hashem. We give him brachas, and he had a Baruch Hashem, he had a parnasa, and then he heard that a Melech of Lizhansk goes to the Maggid of Mizrich. And he says, hold on, my teacher goes to another teacher? Let me go to the big teacher. And he started going to the Maggid of Mizrich. And later on, he started losing all of his money that he had. He had a hard time. And so he went back to the Melech of Lizhansk. He asked him, what happened? Why suddenly did I lose all my things after I stopped going to you? Are you upset at me? And he said, no, I'm not upset at you, God forbid. It's just as long as you're going to Rebbe Melech of Lizhansk, you're going to a simple Yid, as he would call himself. Hashem says, okay, you're overlooking, and you don't have to go to such a great tzaddik. You're going to someone as simple as our Melech of Lizhansk. Hashem says, okay, I'm going to be very lenient with you as well. But once you decided, I'm only going to go there, the Maggid is rich, so the real tzaddik, Hashem says, oh, let me start looking into this person. Is he such a real tzaddik? Does he deserve these brachas? So it's a special thing to always overlook, to quickly forgive.
And just like you look for excuses for yourself, you should also look for excuses for other people too.
Correct. Should be. Before we go to sleep, we say Kriyash Malamita, important to say, I hereby forgive everyone who has done anything wrong to me. And it says in Halacha, it says in Mishnah Brura, that if you say that every night, Marichin Yamav V'Shnaisav, it's you live a long life. It's a Jewish trait to forgive. The Givonim, we're a nation which tricked the Jewish people, and they converted, and they were never accepted as full Gerim, full converts. And one of their traits was that they never forgave Shaul, and they wanted to kill the sons of Shaul. So one should always go out of their way to forgive their fellow, even if their fellow is non-deserving of that forgiveness. In turn, Hashem will always be kind to us. That's why he lived long. And that's why he's Rebbe Nechunya HaGadol. He's called Rebbe Nechunya HaGadol.
I had a myself where a guy, wanted to get a second mortgage on my house.
Mm-hmm.
And this guy was a lawyer. He says, you don't need a lawyer, Lubavitcher guy. I'll do everything. I'll take care of everything for you.
Mm-hmm.
And
If it's free?
What? Yeah.
Okay.
But his company was going to make a loan. And at the end, I didn't trust it. So I got myself my own lawyer.
Mm-hmm.
He wrote the contract that if I'm 1 day late with a payment, could be to the post office,
Yeah.
whatever, the house belongs to him,
Oh, wow.
and everything that I paid in is gone.
Wow, and you didn't know that fine print.
My lawyer read it, and he found it. So we
Oh, wow.
walked out, we picked that up, and we walked out.
Oh, wow. Crazy.
The only time I was able to really be vocal him was when he died.
Oh, wow.
Then I was
It's not easy. I agree with you 100%. Very not easy. Listen, Hashem should bench you many times over for being moichel him.
I did vocal him once he died.
Wow. Yeah, we should never be brought to such an assignment, such a test. We have to have such a difficult choice.
My brother.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, not my biological brother, but my
Right.
a brother guy, take care of everything.
Mm-hmm.
I got a goy to be the goyer.
Wow.
And he found it. Bang.
Listen, whenever anything is free, then you always have to be careful.
He said this was a common practice 100 years ago to write such a contract. No lawyer, no company has written such a contract in 100 years.
Wow.
You miss one payment for whatever reason, all the money you paid in is gone, and the house belongs to him.
Crazy. Right, next one, Rabbi Shua ben Karcha. How did he live a long life? Shal Rabbi Rabbi Shua ben Karcha. So here, the questioner, the one asking the question, is also important for this story. Who's the one asking the question? Rabbi Yehuda HaNasi himself, the great Rebbe. Shal Rabbi, es Rabbi Shua ben Karcha. So Rabbi asked Rabbi Shua ben Karcha, "B'meh harachta yamim." With what have you been merited to live a long life? Amar lo, he told them, I ate lots of spinach, and every day I went walking for 3 miles. And besides for that, but he told them, why are you asking me such questions? Well, you don't want me to live any longer? Now, what type of response is that? Who's the one asking the question? Rebbe HaNasi. It wasn't some nunnik who just happened to walk into the base medrash and says, hey, you're old, why are you so old? It was Rebbe HaNasi. I'm sure Rabbi Shua ben Karcha could appreciate his greatness. So what type of answer is he giving to him? You begrudge my life? Like, you want to know what's my secret to living long? Amar Loi. Rebbe answered, Yehuda HaNasi answered to Rabbi Shua ben Karcha, Rabbi, my teacher. Torah this is a part of Torah. If you're alive, I get to learn Torah from you. And I want to know how to, what's your secret to long life? V'lilmoid ani tzarich. And I have to learn from you what I should do in turn, that I should also live long, that I should also be able to teach Torah for a long life, which we see Rebbe HaNasi did live a long life. So then he answered, and Amar Lai told him, here's are the things I did. Miyamai, for my entire life, Loi histakalti b'demus adam rasha. I never looked at the face of a wicked person, of a rasha.
You know the story with Ben Gurion?
With Ben Gurion, let me hear.
And the Chazanish?
Let's hear.
So they took him to meet the Chazanish.
Yeah.
So when you walked in, the Chazanish made a whole thing like. Glasses on the floor. He broke his glasses.
Yeah.
And people could see he did it on purpose.
Right.
So they asked him why. He said, "Ostly stuck out the Pnei HaRasha." He said, "That Rasha is how came in this book."
Oh, wow. No, I heard he regretted afterwards that he did it to him. The Rebbe also refused to meet Ben Gurion. He came in Tashin Chaf. He wanted the Yichidus, and the Rebbe refused. Yep. So he says, I never looked at the face of a person who is a Rasha. The Amar Rabbi Yochanan for Rabbi Yochanan says, Asur la'adam listakel b'tzelem demus adam Rasha. A person is not allowed to gaze. Listakel doesn't mean to glance. It's like you happen to pass by. Listakel means to gaze at the form, at the face of a person who is a Rasha, who is a wicked person. Shenemar, as it states, Lule pnei shafat melech Yehuda ani noiseim abit elecha vim era. There were two. We'll get to this in a moment. Correct. We'll have the story in Mesechta Eruvin. Elisha was the Navi. He was a Talmud, a student of Eliyahu Hanavi, and the king of Yisrael, kingdom of Yisrael, of the 10 tribes, wanted to go to war. His name was Yehoram. He was a big Rasha. And the king of Yehuda, of the tribes of Yehuda ben Yamin, was Yehoshaphat, was a big tzaddik. And they called Elisha in front of them to know if they should go to war or not. And Elisha told them, if I would not be in front of you, if not for the fact that Yehoshaphat, the king of Yehuda, is here, if not for the fact that if a big tzaddik here, I would not be allowed to be in front of you. Because Yehoram, the evil one, was in front of him. And they wanted to know if they should go to war against Moav. And they were lost in the desert for 7 days, and none of the army did not have water. And they asked Elisha, what should we do? And so he told Yehoram, I don't want to look at you. The only reason I'm going to ask Hashem and give a nevuah is because in the merit of Yehoshaphat, the king of Yisrael. So first of all, what was his question that he had? Should I relabel Shalom Aleichem? Rabbi Yehuda Nasi asks, what chus do you live so long? And he told him, I don't want, do you begrudge my years? You want me to die? Like, what type of question is that? He knows Rabbi Yehuda Nasi is. This is the question of the Ben Ish Chai. So he says, definitely Rabbi Yeshua ben Karcha appreciated, he knew the greatness of Rabbi Yehuda Nasi. Now, Rabbi Yeshua ben Karcha, he was a Gadol Hadar. He had everyone knew who he was. The head of the Sanhedrin or the Bezdin of that time, the Nasi, was Rabbi Yehuda HaNasi, right? He was a Nasi. And in general, there would many times be a sichsuch, an argument between the Gadol Hadar, between the greatest Torah leader of the time, and the Nasi, the leader of the Jewish people. Each one says, begrudges the honor the other one is getting. So he wanted Rabbi Yehuda Nasi to show in public how he doesn't begrudge him at all. He's not asking him because he has something against him. He's asking him only because he wants to learn Torah. That people should not think that there's, God forbid, any type of disagreement or begrudging of one to the other. Now, what's so unique that he never looked at the face of a Rasha? The Torah Rebbe says it's just very hard to do. Not easy to not look at the face of a Rasha.
What's the point of a Rasha? It's very look at a person and it could be very young and they don't know about it. So it backs off a few spirits.
So there's a few answers. One is what defines a Rasha, what defines someone who's evil. So a well-known Rasha, someone like they say there's a picture of one time the Chaim was brought a picture of Hitler Yamach Shammai, and he pointed out features on his face that he's coming from Amalek. And so they say this story. So it's also very there's different. So a well-known Rasha definitely is considered to be a Rasha, but even someone who the Gemara will call a Rasha if they miss Kriya Shema one time, if they don't put on tefillin. We have in Mesechta Soita different things. Someone who doesn't put on tefillin, someone who doesn't wear tzitzis, even if they don't have to, and these different things. The Gemara. So even someone on these caliber, he says, I never looked at. Another answer is even if there was a very big need to look at the face of a Rasha. For example, if you what's a Rasha in the Torah? Someone who does a sin which you're Chayav Malchus. That's what the Torah calls a Rasha. Right? There's a 200 or something Averis, and one receives lashes, and that's what the Torah calls a Rasha. So in order to give testimony, the witnesses have to say, this is the person. You have to look at him. As a dayan, you have to be able to see the person too. So even in such a case, Rabbi Shua ben Karcha did not look at that person. Or another answer is that he never even looked at a drawing, a statue of someone who's a rasha, someone who's evil. Meaning if someone drew a picture of it, which nowadays you have many pictures of people which could definitely be called the rasha. You look at the news, and you're going to see the head of Hamas, you're going to see the heads of Iran, you're going to see heads of many different people in this country as well, right? You're going to see the all these protesters coming in to protest against kill the Jews from the river to the sea. All these people are Russia. You look at the news, you're looking at the face of a Russia. You're not supposed to look even at a picture of the face of a Russia. As we're going to see very soon from the Gemara about Yitzchak Avinu. Yitzchak did not, when Esav was young and he was not a Russia yet, Yitzchak saw him. When he got older and became a Russia, Yitzchak became blind, so he wouldn't be able to see him. And that's why he wanted to give a bracha to Esav, right? Because Esav, last time he saw him, still had a lot of big potential. We had in this past week's parsha, not the past week, 2 weeks ago, that if someone who receives skila from Bezdin, it's a mitzvah to display the body. Right? You have to display them, but it's only done for a very short time, for about 10 minutes before Shkia. You have to take him down and bury him right away. And even then, in a place where people don't see. Why? Because this is a form of Hashem. It's a kilas elikim. It's an embarrassment to Hashem. A person, a flesh and blood, is made in Kidmuseinu, just like in this form of Hashem. And so such a person, of course, everyone has a choice to do good or to do the opposite of good. Right? Don't turn to the evil. So you're not allowed to even look at the idol worship. I remember the first time I was in Venice for the summer, and many Israeli tourists there, and we bring them into a shul. Say, oh, we're all churched out. I was like, what? You can walk into a church? You're not being forced to, God forbid. It's a Jewish person will walk on the other side of the street historically if they would see one. And from your own, I'm not going to see the beautiful architecture, the pictures, so this is all included in this. The Torah says, "Al tifnu elilim." You shouldn't be able to recognize it. You're not allowed to look at the form of avodah zarah. It says, "Lo sechanim." You're not allowed to let them exist in your land. Right? It's one of the ideas people will say that the land of Eretz Yisrael is the beginning of the Geula. Torah says, "Lo sechanim." You're not allowed to allow a church in Eretz Yisrael. You're definitely not going around protecting it. 1948 war. What's the first thing that was done? Protect the whole churches in Yerushalayim, the Russian compound, etc. The Reishis Chachma, familiar with them? The Reishis Chachma.
I heard of them.
In Sha'ar Tshuva, says that when you look at an evil person, at someone who's a Rasha, you bring into you you could call it the energy of the evil person. That causes a person to forget. And therefore, we're going to have in the story soon in the Gemara about a person who one of the Amirayim who did not want to do business with someone who serves idols because I don't want to see them anymore. Because it could have an effect on me. The story of the Tzemach Tzedek, he says that Tzemach Tzedek had to be several times. He was forced to be in the city of Petersburg, Petersburg, which over there was hundreds and hundreds of cloisters, churches all over the city, and there were many bells all the time. And he had to be there because that was a capital city.
And who is this?
Tzemach Tzedek.
Oh.
He was, the government wanted to make decrees and was arrested 22 times in the course of a few months. And the Tzemach Tzedek said that until he came to Petersburg, he did not know what it means, shicha, to forget something. Because he never forgot anything until then. But the sound of all those bells, that suddenly introduced to him the idea of shicha. The idea of forgetting comes from klipa. So it's very important to be extremely careful of what we see. And Mirza Hashem, after we start Hidrus Avoda, after we finish with Laita Moskva, shouldn't be too long, and we'll have English copies, and we have a lot discussing over there about the idea of being very careful in what you see. Our Rebbe, of course, took it even further. They're saying that even children, be very careful what they see. Have only kosher animals at home, right? They shouldn't be watching Barney, and they shouldn't be watching, things which are not kosher. You have to look at kosher animals. So therefore, it's always very important to what you see, to always make sure to look at a tzaddik. And we're going to see, I want to bring this Gemara Mesechta Megillah Daf. Place. The Gemara Mesechta Megillah Daf. Just pull it down. Says the Gemara over there. That their mayor says, Amar Rebbe, says Rabbi Yehuda Hanasi. Rabbi Yehuda Hanasi, he learned by Rabbi Meir. And he says, Hi de mechadadna mechavroyi. The fact that I am more incisive, that I am sharper, smarter, you could say, than all of my colleagues, because in Meir taught Torah, everyone sat around in a circle, and I was able to see the back of Meir. At least I was in the front row, I could see. And if I would have seen his front, if I would have seen his face, I would have been even more incisive, would have been even better. I mean, I've been even wiser and smarter than I was even now. He wrote the Mishnayos. It says, Yeshaya, your eyes shall see your teacher. Seeing the face of your teacher increases understanding and sharpens one's mind. And today we, Baruch Hashem, have a place that you can have pictures and videos of tzaddikim, especially of the Rebbe, wherever you are, and it literally changes a person for the good. And more than once, right? People who I just read this today. Actually, do I even have it on the screen? I might even have it on the screen. No, not this one. But I had it before today when I was preparing for the show. I had it on the screen. There was on my other computer. It's still open on my other computer. There's a child who was having a girl, was having nightmares in the middle of the night and coming and crying and screaming. And what the Rebbe says, put a picture of the Frierdiker Rebbe in front of her bed where she can see it. That should help her. And to also say Shema with her, Psukim, check her mezuzahs. But the idea is that another person wrote to the Rebbe that she's having hardships from time to time, and the Rebbe's write this by himself. Says you should take a picture of my father-in-law, the Frierdiker Rebbe, and from time to time look at it, and that will strengthen her. When you look at a tzaddik, it gives you tremendous strength. Of course, there's many stories. There's a person who went to the Rebbe, right, a Sephardi person, by dollars, and Yechidus. Was Yechidus or by dollars? So the Rebbe told him to do about a certain thing, and the Rebbe told him not to make an operation. And doctors were saying how the child has no hope, and it's the last minutes. And he came home at night from the hospital, all exhausted. And there's a picture of the Rebbe in his living room, and he took out his shoe and threw it at the picture of the Rebbe in anger. He says, because of Yama, listen to your advice. Anyways, Baruch Hashem, the child got better, and he went by dollars by the Rebbe later on. And after he went by dollars, the Rebbe called him back, and the Rebbe told him quietly, I still feel the shoe. I still feel the blow from the shoe. Meaning this is even a picture of a tzaddik is something special. And we see from here that the fact that you look at from the front, that has a tremendous effect on the person. So therefore, it's very important what you see. What you see has a tremendous effect on you, right? Who knows is better than the media, right? Look at the movies, television, news, every other type of outlet. They realize the power of this. They realize the power of your vision and how much it can affect you.
How much the one who threw the shoe, he said, it's Sephardi, right? They would think of it because of the Arab culture.
Arab culture is to throw shoes.
Yeah, because you throw shoes.
Interesting.
There was a curse, like a shoe on your head.
A shoe on your head.
Yeah, I learned it from my father who lived in Israel.
Oh, wow.
it's,
Says about Mashiach for Hidrich Bana Olim, right? With the shoes. Yeah. So if we could learn from the negative, most definitely the positive, we could learn that we should definitely fill our eyes only with things that are positive. I had this past week, last week, bringing a child to cheder. One of the reasons you wrap them up with a talis when you bring them in is because you don't want them seeing anything outside, what they shouldn't be seeing on the way into cheder. But today we're going to have sort of tomorrow. Today's the last year till after Shavuos, and next year Mir Hashem will be Monday, Mir Hashem, because tomorrow is Erev Shavuos and Isra Chag. I'm going to give everyone some time to recover, do some exercise, walk a few kilometers to lose all the Yom Tov weight. And then we're going to begin. Next year, Mir Hashem will be a week from today, next week, Monday. Okay. We're going to go through the holiday, the Yom Tov of Shavuos by all the Rebbeim. You look at yesterday's Hayom Yom, today's Hayom Yom, tomorrow's Hayom Yom. It tells tremendous things, the greatness of Shavuos. It's as great as Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, Ne'ilah. There's no Satan, there's no Yetzer Hara. You can make, it's the best time to make decisions, resolutions to increase your limit Torah. We're going to go through all the Rebbeim, and I'm going to bring some anecdotes, but mainly from the Rebbe, about Shavuos. What was Shavuos by the Rebbeim? We're almost finished this whole Mesechta. We have like another 4 blot left, I think. Correct? About 4 blot left to the Mesechta. Let me just see. Megillah for Chav Ches, and it finishes by Lamed Beis. So about Chav Tes, Lamed, about 4 blot left to this Mesechta. So we're almost done the Mesechta. Maybe we'll make a big siyum together. Maybe in the 9 days we'll make a big siyum together. See, everyone can make their own siyum. Now, on the second day of Shavuos is the passing of the Baal Shem Tov.
Yeah.
Baal Shem Tov, during his lifetime, he always made a special Yom Tov, a special holiday on the second day of Shavuos. It's the first 24 hours after Bnei Yisrael received the Torah, and that's why the Maggid and Rich explained was a great Yom Tov of Baal Shem Tov. Baal Shem Tov passed away on the first day of Shavuos, Tav Kov Chaf, 1760. Before he passed away, he told his Talmidim to sing the Niggin of Michal Zlotchever, one of his Talmidim. It's called the Niggin of his Eirus Rachmam Rabim, a Niggin which awakens Rachmanas, mercy on the person. And Baal Shem Tov promised that whoever will sing this Niggin with a awakening, a feeling of Teshuvah, I will hear them, and wherever I am in Shemayim, I will join in, and I'm going to bring Rachmanas on them for this person. It's a long Niggin. The Alter Rebbe's uncle and teacher, which was Rabbi Yosef Yitzchak, Alter Rebbe's uncle, Alter Rebbe's teacher, Rabbi Sacher Ber Kabilaker, came from the town of Lubavitch. This is before Mittler Rebbe moved to Lubavitch, obviously. They would travel to the Baal Shem Tov every Shavuos, and the main questions the Baal Shem Tov would have about them was what's happening with Alter Rebbe, the progress of the Alter Rebbe. They receive instructions about the Alter Rebbe, including that the Alter Rebbe should not know about the Baal Shem Tov; it should be a secret.
Yeah, I remember.
And they were warned very strongly that the Alter Rebbe should not be told about the Baal Shem Tov. He would have to find him himself. On the Shabbos before Shavuos, in the year 1760, after Mincha, the Baal Shem Tov told Mizritcher Magid in front of the Alter Rebbe's uncle, Rabbi Yosef Yitzchak, he says, from the day that the neshama of the Alter Rebbe came down to this world, it was a very unique neshama, a neshama chadasha, neshama which never came before to the world, from the world of Atzilus. I had Mesiras Nefesh for him, for this neshama. Baal Shem Tov says, he does not belong to me. He told the Maggid Mizrich, he belongs to you. I mean, you're going to have to initiate and bring him into Chassidus. But you are not allowed to try influencing him to come. You have to, Alter Rebbe is going to have to find you by himself.
And the Alter Rebbe's parents were actually secret Chassidim.
Not just that, and the Alter Rebbe was born from bracha of the Baal Shem Tov. The Magadim is rich. He became a Rebbe on Shavuos after the passing of the Baal Shem Tov. His son of the Baal Shem Tov, named Rabbi Tzvi, became the leader, but he didn't have the strength necessary to defend Chassidus from the pressures of all the opponents of Chassidus. On the second day Shavuos, exactly 1 year and 1 day after the passing of the Baal Shem Tov, in Mezhebush, Rabbi Tzvi said Torah in the presence of all the Chavraya Kadisha, and he announced that today my father came to me and told me that all the heavenly entourage, which would be with the Baal Shem Tov, has gone over to the Magadim is rich, and he gave him over the Baal Shem Tov's special Shabbos robe to wear, and he says it's going to be Pish 9 Beruche, double. Told the Mazel Tov, and he said a Maimer on the Haftarah of Mareim Masayim. It's a Haftarah of Shavuos, which is a argument if even you're supposed to say this Haftarah, because it's, we'll learn later in the Mesechta, it's Meiser Merkava. It's talking about the, we learned this before, that you can't translate it, but it's machlokes if you even have it as Haftarah, because it talks about the Merkava, the biggest secrets of Hashem. The Alter Rebbe became a Talmud of the Magadim is rich, and we have recorded one of the earliest Fabrengens of the Alter Rebbe was a Shavuos Fabrengen during the lifetime of the Magadim is rich, and the Magadim is rich. He in turn gave over to the Alter Rebbe, who would make a siyum. As on the second day of Shavuos, Alter Rebbe would make a big seudah. He would call it the Zayda Seudah, the meal of the grandfather. Who was a grandfather of the Alter Rebbe? Spiritual grandfather, Baal Shem Tov. And in the middle, Alter Rebbe would announce, Baruch haba, welcome. And the Chassidim understood that Baal Shem Tov was present. Baal Shem Tov came in. And Baal Shem Tov would daven for the Amud on the first day of Shavuos, because it's a yahrzeit of the Baal Shem Tov. And he would always tell one of the elder Chassidim who saw the Baal Shem Tov to speak about the Baal Shem Tov. And then the Alter Rebbe would say the Baal Shem Tov is busy in Gan Eden. And a little while later, that's when the Alter Rebbe would say Baruch haba. He would repeat a maimer, and people can understand this is a maimer that Baal Shem Tov is now saying in Gan Eden. The Alter Rebbe is saying a famous niggin in Shavuos called Se'ena Re'ena. It's a very, Alter Rebbe said a maimer in the pasuk, and he said a niggin on it. And it's interesting. The one time at Fabrengen on Shavuos, Tashin Tezvav, 1955, the Rebbe became very serious. He told Chassidim to sing several nigunim. And then the Alter Rebbe said, and then the Rebbe announced. The Alter Rebbe would announce, and the Rebbe announced, Baruch haba, and welcome the Baal Shem Tov. And then the Rebbe says, whoever sees and feels, hears and feels the Baal Shem Tov's presence now should say Baruch haba. And obviously, who was the only one that said it there was a Rebbe, obviously. And then the Rebbe explained, right now we're in the presence of the Moshe Rabbeinu of our generation. So we're in the presence of the Alta, and went from the Baal Shem Tov, the Magid, and went through all the Rebbeim, the Frierdiker Rebbe. So they're all here right now. Baal Shem Tov is here. And if the Baal Shem Tov is here, his teacher, the Afiyah Shiloini is. And by the Mittler Rebbe, Chassidim were one time having a discussion, Isaac Humler, whose yahrzeit was just this past week, what's it going to be like? What should we ask from Hashem on the night of Shavuos? We should ask a bracha for Pnimius HaTorah. We should ask a bracha to understand Torah. They asked Mittler Rebbe, and Mittler Rebbe says, on Shavuos, you should ask a bracha, you should daven, you should have the fire of Torah. More important than the details, learn this part of Torah, understanding Torah, and should have the excitement of Torah. That's what the Keser Torah. The Mittler Rebbe promised whoever stays awake on the first night of Shavuos will be Zoichet the Keser Torah. Will merit the idea of Keser Torah, not the shul, the crown of Torah. What that is, learn the Mittler Rebbe's Mamar. The Tzemach Tzedek accepted the Nesias leadership of Chassidim on Shavuos. The Mittler Rebbe passed away in the month of Kislev, and all the way until Shavuos, he refused to accept the leadership of Chassidim. And the story of Rabbi Isaac Humler, who repeated something from the Alter Rebbe, he accepted the Nesias. The first maimer he said is a Shlosha Dvar Ma'olam Oimed, a maimer that the Tzemach Tzedek heard from the Alter Rebbe when he was 3 years old. and he said that Maimer. By the Mittel Rebbe, that's when he said the Mittel Rebbe had how many several hundred thousand chassidim, over 100,000 chassidim, and how many thousands of chassidim who don't put on tefillin every day because they're under bar mitzvah still. That's how many. And it was a custom in those times that the rabbanim, the rabbis, would travel to the chassidim would travel to Tzemach Tzedek on Shavuos, because on Sukkos, the rabbi was usually the only one with lulav and esrog in the city. Everyone had to go to the Rav's lulav and esrog. On Pesach, there's a lot of questions that come up. On Shavuos is the only Yom Tov where they're able to come to the Rab Tzemach Tzedek, and that's when he would always say Mamarim. It was called Chag HaMatzos. Matzos means matzah. You would think it's usually the Yom Tov of Pesach, but Shavuos is called Chag HaMatzos. A matz means a Meir Tzedek. A Meir Tzedek is a Rav.
Yep.
By the Rebbe Marash. One time in Shavuos, there was a very large crowd of Hasidim, and it was impossible for everyone to have Yechidus by the Rebbe Marash. And there's a Chassid named Pesach of Beshenkovich who came and he wanted a Yechidus by the Rebbe Marash, and the guy by Rebbe Levik did not allow him in. And suddenly, Rebbe Levik's running around looking for him. He says, the Rebbe Marash asked you to come in. He wants to give you a Yechidus. During the Yechidus, he cried that he says, a kli busha mali chlima, kli reka mali busha chlima. So I'm an empty vessel filled with shame. So he told him, this is a feeling you have. Do you say Tehillim with tears? Every day you say at least 2 chapters of Tehillim with tears. When it comes to Matan Torah, today on Shavuos, you're not allowed to cry. Today you have to be
The simcha.
Simcha. The Rebbe Rashab, of course, many memorim we have from the Rebbe Rashab. He would be in the summer in Lubavitch. Yom Tov and Shavuos would start much later than it starts over here. And long before Lich Benchen, the Rebbe Rashab would begin a Maimer, and he usually would last 2.5 to 3 hours. Then he would daven Ma'ariv by himself, and Rebbe Rashab's davening could go on for many, many hours. And there's a tremendous amount of Mamorim. One of the guests who would come every year to the Rebbe Rashab for Shavuos was the Rav of Yekaterinoslav. His name, who was the Rav of Yekaterinoslav? His name was Rabbi Yitzchak, the Rebbe's father. And when he would come, the Rebbe Rashab would instruct him to always test the Bachrim in the yeshiva of Tamchet Mimim. And he would test them, but as he would test them, he would explain everything according to Kabbalah in his own style. And
who would test them?
The Rebbe's father. The Rebbe Rashab would say Tikkun Leil Shavuos 2 times. You know, Rabbi Hillel Parcher would say both nights of Shavuos. We stay at both nights. Once on the first night of Yom Tiv, the Rebbe Rashab would say it. Once when he would travel, in the summer he would travel away to like a quieter, to dacha, to rest in the summer. By the Frierdiker Rebbe, we have some very interesting letter of the Frierdiker Rebbe about the idea of Shavuos. But many times in a letter, he wouldn't call it Yom Tov Shavuos, he would call it after Matan Torah. After Matan Torah. I want to hear about this after Matan Torah.
There's a Rebbe, you said.
The Frierdiker Rebbe will call it Matan Torah. Because for a tzaddik, it's actually experienced Matan Torah. And for all of us, we should also re-experience Matan Torah. When people come to the Frierdiker Rebbe before Shavuos, he would say, I'm getting ready and preparing for Matan Torah. I'm not able to listen to everything in detail. Now, of course, by the Rebbe, Shavuos, describe to you what is how my father would describe Shavuos. He says, Shavuos by the Rebbe. First of all, many, many years later, after Tashan Lamed Aleph, the Rebbe had a Shavuos, had a Fabrengen, Shavuos, the night before Shavuos. Right? There would be many Fabrengen, sometimes Shabbos before, etc. Shavuos didn't start on the day of Shavuos by the Rebbe. It started long before. Rosh Chodesh Sivan already started Shavuos. Rosh Chodesh Sivan was one of the biggest Yom Tovim. In many ways, the Rebbe would say it's the biggest Yom Tov, even more than Shavuos. What's Rosh Chodesh Sivan? When the Jews came to Har Sinai, Vayichan Sham Yisrael Neged Ahar. The Jews all camped together by Har Sinai. Ish Echad B'Lev Echad, as it says, when one heart, he camped there as one person. Only time in Jewish history that there was never any fights, never any politics. Everyone got along. And once you have that, you could receive the Torah. Many Rabbanim, of course, would come to the Rebbe, and certain people, so Zalman Jaffe, I did bring up his speech by Kenes Torah. Maybe we'll do it after Yom Tif. So Zalman Jaffe, he was one of the people who would come to the Rebbe every single year for Shavuos, and he wrote diaries. He gave it once to the Rebbe, and after that, the Rebbe told him, publish your diaries, make it longer. And thanks to him, we have a tremendous sense of humor, very funny person, and we have a lot of diaries that he wrote of the Rebbe. The Shabbos of Varchim Sivan, the Shabbos before Sivan, already when the Rebbe always bring Shabbos of Varchim, the whole Ara, Matan Torah, was already prevalent. Later on, in the year Tashrin Mem, from 1980 onwards, the Rebbe said, and the Rebbe encouraged that every single Jewish child, who are the guarantors of the Torah, should be present in shul. Men, women, and children, and it's a very big thing. Newspaper advertisements. Here we do it in Pittsburgh, of course. In Eretz Yisrael, it's done in a big way. I mean, again, to Israel and experience firsthand how we do it. You go in the streets screaming a whole song, come to Misibot Shavuot. Hundreds of kids show up everywhere, and you get your Arctic, you get your ice cream. And the Rebbe spoke about the urgency. It says, when does it happen that we receive the Torah with the same thunder, lightning, excitement as the time of the giving of the Torah? Happens during the Kriyas Torah, reading of the Torah. Experienced this myself every Wednesday in New York. We used to go on release time. As Rabbi Karp said, that's how his first exposure to Lubavitch from Kite was. Release time, where you take boys out of the public school for an hour, boys and girls, and you teach them Yiddishkeit for the last hour of school. And you take them to a shul nearby. One day, Wednesdays from 2 to 3. And so one year, the first day of Shavuos was on Wednesday. So just because it's Yom Tov, you're going to stop it? Mm-hmm. No. They're going to public school and we shouldn't stop it. So we walked all the way to that neighborhood in the Sheepshead Bay, and we took all the kids out of school. Right? We walked with them to the shul instead of driving them. And on Shavuos, we arranged a minyan to hear Kriyas Torah, to hear the Saras Adibros for all these kids. And literally, I mean, public school kids in general, in New York City especially, maybe Israeli kids and Russian kids especially, have a very hard time listening to rules. They made a lot of misbehavior. When we read the Torah, I literally saw what it means, standing like with trembling and awe, standing eyes wide open. They all stood in front of the bima. They wouldn't sit anywhere else in the shul, wide-eyed, looking straight at the Torah. It was a tremendous sight to see. The first night of Shavuos by the Rebbe, there was, of course, Itkin Ma'ariv. And Ma'ariv is very late because you have to daven after Tzeis. And then there's Itkin Shavuos. And then there was what's called a Matan Torah Maimer. The Rebbe will come down to shul, I think at 1 o'clock in the morning on the night of Shavuos. And the Rebbe would say a Maimer. It was called the Matan Torah Maimer. The way it started was in the year Tashrin Yud Beis, 1952. Chassidim gathered in the shul to say Tikkun. This is when the Rebbe introduced Kabbalas HaTorah b'simcha pnimius, a wish that everyone should receive the Torah with joy and pnimius in an internal way. And says it started with the Rebbe Marash, the Frierdiker Rebbe also, and the Rebbe uses terminology hundreds and hundreds of times, maybe thousands, if you're counting all the letters he wrote these in. And in the year 1952, so after people finish saying Tikkun, it's getting pretty late. And, you go to mikveh, right, before it gets light. The Rebbe entered the shul and asked, where's everybody? There are only about 15 people left then in 770, 1952. Someone says, they went to the mikveh. So the Rebbe asked, Yoel Khan, you could say the human tape recorder of the Rebbe is also there? He said, yes. The Rebbe says, So the Rebbe says, start singing the Maimer Niggin. And they said a Niggin of the Maimer. And the Rebbe said a Maimer that night. It was called and it was called the Matan Torah Maimer. So at around 3 o'clock in the morning, the Rebbe would come into the shul every single year after that, till the year Tashin Lam in 1970, and the Rebbe would say a Maimer. Usually, before a Maimer, there'll be a niggin. But when the Rebbe will walk in, there'll be no niggin. The Rebbe will walk into his place, everyone would be still, quiet, everyone would sit down, everyone would stand, say the Maimer, and then the Rebbe got up and left, and everyone was quiet while the Rebbe left as well. It was called the Maimer of Matan Torah, of the giving of the Torah, because it occurred at the same time Matan Torah happened. You think everyone went to sleep after? You're up a whole night saying Tikkun, but now you have to review the Chazara of the Rebbe's Maimer. No one went to sleep after. So that's already the first day. The first night is like a day. The first day, you chazan the Maimer till Shacharis, he ran to the mikveh, came back to davening, grabbed a place for davening, you want to be Matan Torah by the Rebbe, by the reading of the Seres HaDibros. The Rebbe once said by one of the meals, if people knew what happens in this shul, the Rebbe's shul, by a Seres HaDibros, when they read it, there wouldn't be a minyan in any shuls in Brooklyn. And everyone would come here to, and someone over there asked, I think it was Rabbi Simpson, what about the Kiris? And I said the same thing. Until the year 1970, the Rebbe had this on the second floor in 770 in the Frierdiker Rebbe's apartment, because his mother-in-law, the Frierdiker Rebbe's Rebbetzin, was living. And they stood this on both nights. Only Shliach Chassidim would come, and there would be deep discussions. After they do Chazara on the Maimer, then they grab a place for davening, and then there'll be davening. And right afterwards, let's say you have a meal, they would get together again to review the Maimer. And then you go on Talucha. What's Talucha? You walk to shuls in other neighborhoods or other shuls, and you bring simcha. Simcha is when you have a new face they didn't see. Panim chadashis, and it brings them simcha. Then you came back. The Rebbe would many times come out at a certain time, 11 o'clock at night, I think, welcome those who came, everyone who came back from Talucha. And it would be a tremendous sight. Before going into Talucha, everyone goes to different neighborhoods, Lower East Side, Brownsville, Borough Park, Fapash, everywhere. There, everyone would arrange themselves, hundreds in long, orderly rows. They start singing the Nigunim, and the Rebbe many times would come out just to watch everyone and to encourage the singing as they're going out. Then, after he came back from Talucha, it'll be very late at night, right? Already the next day. Or then many times the Rebbe will come, welcome back from Talucha. And on Shavuos, in the Tashin and Aleph, last Shavuos, the Rebbe even said a sicha to everyone who came back from Talucha late at night. And Tashin and Beis, as the first time the Rebbe came out after his stroke. Right? It was the first time the Rebbe came out, was on Shavuos. The Rebbe came out to greet everyone who came back from Talucha. Since Chav Zayin Adar. And towards there will be the Haftarah, the Rebbe would say, Mareim K'masayim. The Haftarah was of the Merkava, was a very special Haftarah. Then there would be, at the conclusion of Yom Tov, there was a Fabrengen of the Rebbe. The Rebbe introduced that he would wash. Of course, at the Fabrengen was many Sichas, Marmarim, and Yom Tov was over 45 minutes into the Fabrengen. So right after the Fabrengen's over, from all neighborhoods, people started coming in with cars, and from the whole tri-state area. People come into the Rebbe's Fabrengens, we get very packed, and Fabrengen is over, what would happen? Havdalah, Kol Bracha. We could also go on so many times for many hours. We did bring up some videos of Kol Bracha, but we lack of time.
Drive down to Kol Bracha.
Should we make it from Montreal to Kol Bracha? Wow. Many times there's a sicha just about the whole Talucha. And Fabrengen and Shavuos used to many times end very late, and also would continue for many hours. Achron Shal Pesach, last day of Pesach, Fabrengen was usually shorter, and perhaps because the Rebbe wanted to finish Kol Bracha before Hatzos, midnight, because it's during Sfiras Eimer, so it shouldn't be singing then. But the Shavuos Fabrengen continue for many hours, well past midnight, and then Kol Bracha itself will continue for many hours. So you can imagine this whole thing. That's already the fourth day of Shavuos. And he says, and then there will be a Kines Torah the next day. Which, we'll get to that. The Rebbe would and all the Rabbanim will get together, each one speak words of Torah. And then he says, you will walk outside, 770, after this, after Hershel Bracha is over, and you say, is there even a world out here? Is there buildings? Like, is you sure this still exists? This is the idea of Shavuos by the Rebbe. Not just 24/7, but 48/7, right? That we are with the idea of the Eibishter and the Torah. So with this, I want to show everybody Kabbalah Torah b'simcha v'pnimius. You should receive the Torah with joy and a freilich yamtiv and a good yamtiv and a shakaya.